Welcome to Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things, the podcast show. I am your host, Carrie Roberts. And today, my extraordinary guest is Dr. Reza Abraham. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for having me. And it's such an special day, International Women's Day. So cheers to all the ladies who are listening to us. And I wish everyone lots of love, laughter, and learning in the journey to come.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, we are recording this live on International Women's Day, and I appreciate you saying that. So before we
You're
kind
welcome.
of get into, our topic here is about kind of creating more control over the life you want. But I want to start with you personally. You've written this new book, and we'll talk about some of your actionable steps, tactics. But for you, you kind of wrote in the beginning that come from a pretty good family, your life was pretty good, but something felt missing. So can you talk about how that was and what was it that was missing?
Sure. So the journey of InControl life and career, it's a very progressive journey. As we grown up, every one of us, we deal with different obstacles and opportunities in our life. Yeah. So for me, when I started to write the book, and I was already a management consultant, I was working with number of very well established organizations. My pay was good. I loved the job that I was doing. But when I was reflecting at the end of the day, I was not in love with some of the aspects of the work that I was doing and the life that I was living. So that brought the whole journey of the InControl. So if I want to put the word InControl itself into a very nice perspective, is that it's the place where we love what we do. We love who we do it with. We love who we do it for, and we love how we do it. It means how long we do it, where we do it, and is it on your terms and conditions that you love it to be. So I love what I was doing. I was very passionate about what I was doing it, but I didn't love some of the people that I was doing the work with and the work for. And this causes me to felt at some point that I was not in control. So certain things, it wasn't just going in my terms and condition. And I'm not here talking about an arrogant life, an egoistic mindset, or also at the same time a loose way of being a mediocre person. It's about recognizing that you got to be responsible for what you can control, and don't apologize or use it as an apology for the things that you can't control. And when I started to talk to people, I noticed that many people actually exactly feel the same thing, because unfortunately our society has always promote this idea that, oh, if you want to be an extraordinary person, you got to go through a massive trauma. You got to have a lot of like big obstacles. But I didn't have a big obstacle. I was just an ordinary person, and I had this ambition to become extraordinary person. And that's exactly when I look at your podcast, that's exactly the message I wanted to give to the world as well. You don't need to go through a massive trauma like a divorce or the loss of the loved one in order to wake up, become conscious that, hey, you can be in control of your life and career.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's interesting too, when I thought about the original name of this show, Ordinary to Extraordinary, it's also defining the term extraordinary, because people think extraordinary is, quote unquote successful, meaning having lots of money, having a title, being famous. And that,
Correct.
as you mentioned earlier, I have a very similar thought that, this extraordinary life is something that you have a little bit more control over. It's doing things you like with people you like,
Exactly.
where you want to do it. And you were mentioning, there were some things you didn't like. Can you kind of share with us, what were some things that you didn't like specifically? Obviously, if it was a person, you don't want to share that, but was there certain tasks of your job or something you're like, oh, I really don't like this? What was it? And do you think that, you could have just kind of pushed it aside, or do you feel like, no, it was enough for me to say, I need to do something about this?
Yeah. So one of the things that when Carrie, when I started the journey of InControl,
Mhm.
I first had this curiosity within myself that is there any system that we can define in order to move towards an in-control life? And let me define what is the meaning of the system. This is the lessons that I learned it many years ago from this guy by the name of Bob Berg. And he's one of the gods of networking and so on. So he defined the word system in this way. He said, system can help an ordinary person achieve an extraordinary result predictably. Yeah. So it
Mm-hmm.
means that you can actually predict the outcome. So most people, they always struggle in this area that is there any system to get these whole things done? So the system that usually work in an organization, it's always based on these two concepts. We call it as respect and honor. So what is the difference between respect and honor? Respect is something that the leader or the people or the organization need to gain from other people. Yeah, you have to gain the respect. When you join an organization, the company will not give you the respect, they just give you the position. So they give you the honor. And the definition of the honor is something that I won't say anything behind your back that I will not say it in front of your face.
Mm-hmm.
It means that if I say I'm going to do this, I will deliver it. Whether I like it or I don't like it, I will do it. But respect is something that I don't necessarily need to respect you for me to honor you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So come back to the questions that you're saying. I have seen a lot of people that they don't honor the people that they are working with. They don't honor the people that they're working for, and they still stay in that organization and complain about it.
And was
If
that
you are,
something you felt that you've
that's
experienced in your
something
past?
I
Yeah.
felt. That's
Yeah.
what I felt. So the day that I started to feel that I can't honor the organization, I can't honor some of the peoples that I work with, I need to make a decision to change myself. Because as we all know, it's much easier to change ourselves than trying to change other people. You know, I hear this all the time. People say, oh, I want that person to leave. No, they will stay there forever. They're not going to leave. You need to make a decision. Either you shape up, you provide them some feedback, whether they improve, they don't improve, you give them what you're supposed to give them. And now, if it doesn't match with your values, with your system, then it's time for you to ship out. Don't stay and complain. Don't stay and blame. Don't stay and gossip. It's very, very important. So that was one of the biggest realizations, that living an in-control life, sometimes you realize that certain things, it's against your value, it's against your honor system, and you can't hold it. You're going against yourself. You're becoming a bad person. So might as well ship out or shape up yourself and get to the zone that is within your control.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Like you said, values matter, whether it's personally or professionally, to have those aligned. And I always, my dad always says likes attract likes. When you kind of put
Yep.
out who you are and what you're doing, it starts to attract, the right people, the right situations. And when you're in those, how good that feels, because you're like, oh, this is the right thing, the right moment for this time. And that's what we're all looking for. So
Yeah.
as you're, personally, you're going through this, you realize, okay, I don't like this. I need to maybe stop complaining or stop being in this. I need to make a change. What made you decide to write this book? Did you go through and say, this is something that I kind of figured out myself? Is it from research? Was it something you felt you needed to experiment on yourself? How did this come about? What is the process here?
Sure. So this if I want to tell that the book actually took me like about 2 years to write it, it doesn't really make sense. For most authors, they get to a certain point because of what they have gone through, and my own journey also started like at least 20 years ago, and so this is basically is a very progressive journey. But what I was always very interested on is to create a system around it, and like the way that I defined it a bit earlier. So the process of getting to this whole book writing initiative basically in the first place. I was always ambitious to write the book for the last 10 years, and as you know, we all like keep putting it off, procrastinating the whole things. And, but it's for good, because even now that you're writing the book and the book is already out, after you start to go and talk around more about it, say, oh my God, I missed that point. I should have write this part too.
There'll be a part two, right?
Yeah. So it's always a part two there. But why actually I wanted to write the book, that's the main thing. Because I noticed that, even when I'm conducting training, when I'm going around, doing consultancy and so on, still your reach is very limited. I mean, how many people we can talk? Imagine in a year, perhaps you might be able to reach out to like about 2,000 to 3,000 people. Now you're putting some content, for example, on YouTube and all those stuff. So that reach might be a bit broader. But the way to put some authority there, it's basically by writing a book. So the ingredients of the book, it's I would say, Carrie, it's a combination of research, interview, and I had this opportunity as an ultra high performer coach. I worked with a lot of C-suites from all around the world, people from companies like PwC, KPMG, Shell, McDonald, Dell. And one of the most important questions that I always wanted to understand about all these ultra high performers or high achievers was that what is actually very common among them. Mm-hmm. And what I found is that they are very, very much in control of their life and career. I wouldn't say life 100%, but I can say like most of the ultra high performers that I work with them, they are completely in control of their work. It means they love what they do. They love who they're doing it with. They love who they're doing it for, and they love how you do it. So then, we broke it down into like, what does it take to get there? Then the things like, for example, communication skills comes in, their compass comes in, the character comes in, the competency comes in, the connection comes in. So then I started to realize and unpack this, like, how does it become a system, so that anybody, when they look at your achievement, they can actually follow your steps. So that's how basically the book comes
I was going to say too, I love how they're all C words. And I was like, oh, that must have taken a while too.
Oh, yes.
What's the C word for this? So I thought that was just a really nice, just visually was kind of interesting and from a writing perspective. Yeah, I think it's interesting. One thing I'm sure you hear, I know I hear all the time, is that people will say, certain things, it is what it is. They are the way that they are. Like you said, you're not going to change people. Life is going to throw things at you. You can't control everything. And there's part of that that's true. And then there's the other part that says, well, actually, we are in control of a lot more than we think. So how do you kind of balance the two from a big picture standpoint of understanding what you are in control in and what are the things that you're not, and keep the balance of both?
So, Carrie, life is full of surprises, right? And I think if everything we want is within our control, it lacks the element of surprise as well. I think that's become very boring, right? Yeah. When everything is like, is predictable, then there is no point for us even to live and explore, right? So every time when we are experimenting something new, it always gives us the element of surprise, and we love that. We love curiosity. We love to travel to different countries and find new things. So, but what's very important is that people always need to ask themselves this question: what are the things that I can control and I can take full responsibility on that? And what are the things that I can't control and I just better don't use them as an apology? Let me give you an example to understand this better. For example, the current situation that we are experiencing worldwide, we are still in a COVID crisis, right? Even the word crisis itself, in Chinese, there is a definition for it. They call it as a wei ji. So the first part of the word, it means danger. The second part of the word, it means opportunity. So in every crisis, there is a danger and there is an opportunity. And I'm not saying it in a very cheesy way that, there is a danger, there is an opportunity, think positive and a lot of positive things will happen to you. No, what I'm saying is that we often fall into trap of the danger and keep saying that I got no control over these things. But at any circumstances, there are always certain things that we can control. For example, we can control our own effort.
Mm-hmm.
We can control how we start our day. We can control by planning our day and being an organized person rather than being a messy person. We can control to make up our bed and create a positive momentum in the morning. We can control our health. We can protect ourselves towards COVID, right? So there's a lot of things that you can control. But if you just look at it from the things that you cannot control it, you're looking at the danger. You're looking at the negative things there. And you know what? It's so easy to be negative nowadays. It's super
Yes.
easy. All you need to do, you just need to switch the channel, be a negative person. Oh, why life is like this? Why not government is giving me that? Why COVID does like that? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? So it's the matter of the decisions that people make at the end of the day. As long as you are fully aware that you are in control of most of the things that are happening in our life. Yeah, and it's so easy to fall into trap of thinking that everything is negative, everything is totally out of our control.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's too, we all go through it because we're not perfect. It's humbling sometimes, when you catch yourself, like you just talked about with your, past work situation, when you catch yourself in that moment and you're like, wait a second, I have the power to change something about this.
Yep.
And when you recognize that and have that awareness, how much better you can be, but it's getting sometimes to that space. So I'd love for you to kind of maybe share 1 to 3 pieces, whether it's in order or not, of ways that people can kind of start living more in control of their life. What words do you want to start with? And what are some actionable tips that they can do?
Sure. So the first step in living and control life, which is basically the center of the model as well, is consciousness. So our definition of the consciousness is that when one become aware and mindful that there is such a life, that you are in control of your life and career. That's the first step. And you would be surprised, a lot of people, they never actually reach even to those levels. They never thought about it. So they are always thinking that everything is out of control. I am in this environment that everything is happened to me and I don't know what to do about it. So that's the first step. So consciousness is always the first things. So it requires one person to sit down, think about your life, and go through like this assessment that we are even having for the book as well, and realize that which part of my life or career is out of control, that I need to start to work on. So some of us, we are having a very high level of consciousness. We can actually reach to that point. There are some people that you may require someone who you trust to tell you where to start. So that's where the power of mentorship will comes in. Some guided decision making will really, really help to expedite this whole process. So then after that, there are 3 cornerstones in whole InControl model, which I always believe that is very important. And in my research and my interview with all these people, I found it very common among all of them. So the first one is contentment. Making sure you're happy with whatever you're doing, you're enjoying the journey. I believe that, our world is in a way that nobody should go through it suffer through the journey. It's you, even if you're doing a hard work, you should enjoy doing it. So that's number 1. The second one is conversion, which is growth. Making sure, even if you are not making ton of money, you are growing at the end of the day, right? That's why they say there are 2 group of people when they go through the crisis. Some people, they just go through it. Some people, they just grow through it, and it's fine. And the third one is consistency. So consistency is the discipline. Every discipline is back another discipline. This book that is out right now, it's the outcome of the discipline. Meaning somebody has inspired me, which I got inspired first time when I read the book Atomic Habit from James Clear, which was really amazing. He talked about this scoreboard tracking system, every day write. And I wake up every day 6 to 7 o'clock and I was writing for 1 hour. So these two elements, the core consciousness and then the three cornerstone, Carrie, it built the whole system. Then after that, the rest is just the pillars of life and career, like your character, your contribution, your communication, collaboration, compass, condition, cash, all those things is the pillars. But if you don't take care of the core, if you don't take care of the cornerstone, the pillars will not last for a very long time and life lose its meaning because you're not happy, you're not growing, and you don't have the discipline.
Yeah, and I want you to elaborate on the term growth because you had mentioned, finances. And I think people think this was a perfect example during COVID. I had many conversations with people where someone would say, "So what did you learn or what did you improve during COVID?" And there would be some people that felt like I just had to get through it. And some people were like, I learned how to make sourdough bread and started a business. And then there were differences where I talked a lot about personal growth, inner growth, learning how to deal with if you lived alone, or learning how to be with your family 24/7. It's not always external. So can you talk about, when you say growth, what you're referring to and how someone can kind of notice their own growth?
Yep. So generally, Carrie, there are three types of growth that we see in people. The first one is what we call it as a practical growth. The practical growth is something that you could have done it before, but you were just not doing it because it was not the right timing. Yeah. For example, we talk to people that they used to do all their work face to face, and then now they're doing it online. And then when they are looking at it, it's like, hey, actually online is quite good. We knew it was good. We knew back then that this could be a very good alternative, but people were just like reluctant to do it. I mean, some
Right.
people, they are ignorant, some people just stubborn. So the stubborn people usually will only change when they go through this kind of crisis. Yeah. So this is what we call it as a practical opportunity. Practical opportunity or practical growth usually are the types that the time wasn't good back then. Now the time
Right.
is good, so people just like adopt it. The second type of growth is what we call it as financial growth. So financial growth is something that this is the, like, I wouldn't say the first time in the history, but I would say like this is one of the most significant time that people start to have financial problem based on their background, based on the job that they do. Yeah. It means that there are some jobs that they have been heavily impacted, like those from aviation, from tourism, those like from restaurant business and so on. And there is also another group of people that the business actually has been accelerated. Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the very interesting things. Crisis is going to be hard on everybody. But one thing we have observed is that there is a lot of like new avenues has introduced to the world that people have not really thought through it before. Like, I can see a lot of people now start to understand that, hey, I need to have a 6-month backup saving. Because, we used to tell people about this many years. Like, you need to have a backup account. Imagine you're not going to have a job or income for a couple of months. What are you going to do? People say, well, it's not necessary. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Yeah. But now people start to become much more financially savvy. They plan their income very well. They're looking for a passive income opportunities that they never do that. So meaning that, yes, I understand some people, they lost their income, but I also know at the other side, Carrie, a lot of people that they're becoming way better financially. And we all know finances is very, very important because you can actually have a very in control life, but if you are very bad in your finances, you will be out of control. Having a lot of money is not going to make you happy, but if you don't have money, for sure you're going to be unhappy. We all know that. Yeah. So that's the second growth that we observe in a lot of people. So just get curious, like, how can I do it? Learning from other people. You don't need to start from scratch. And a third type is what we call it as learning opportunities, which is the personal growth. Yeah. Meaning that people actually has learned a lot to practice certain things like gratitude. That appreciate what you have right now. That is very important. And don't take it for granted. People has learned to read. I know a lot of people that last time they never wanted to upskill themselves. They thought that, my skill going to stay with me for the rest of my life, and they already hit this destination disease, thinking that I'm already very good. Why do I need to learn something new? But because of this situation, they actually started to become much more curious to upskill themselves, to become a multi-skilled person. So this tree growth that I personally experiencing it across the board: practical, financial, and learning growth.
Yeah, again, I like how you break it down because you're right. The financial piece, I have such a system in place and I'm an organized person and I love it. And it makes you feel very empowered. And again, you're redefining, finances is not only just bringing more income in, it's learning how to understand, organize it, control it for yourself.
Yes.
And, going back to, like you said, these kind of personal growth, that being more aware of gratitude, understanding that you can and should learn more. I mean, especially in the technology field, things are moving so quickly. I mean, schools can't keep up. So you have to do some sort of excess learning. So I just like the way you're breaking that down, because I think a lot of times we find that one word, we define it as one thing, but it can actually be a lot more broad than we think.
Correct. Yep, it's true. It's true, and it's all about, at the end of the day, one person to realize that there are certain things that I can do about it, rather than just complaining and expecting other people to do it for us. So that's the self-awareness that needs to happen, and we just
Yes.
need to look out. This is what Richard Dawkins said. He said, adult who only learn from their own trial and error will always lose to adult who learn from other people's trial and error. There's so many trial and errors going on right now out there, and all you need to do, just try, start small, and that's how the journey gets started. It's not going to be easy in the beginning, but it will get better because you will learn through the process. That's all it takes to take the first step.
Yeah, and I think I was just going to add to that. I think too, you kind of mentioning, working, I use the word, experts lightly because I don't think we're ever, an expert in anything. As you said, we're constantly
Yep.
growing. But if you're, trying to start a business and somebody's done their business for 20 years, it's worth it to work with them. You're trying to get in shape and somebody has created a system and it works not only for them, but multiple people. Why would you
Yep.
not work with them? So it is so important to kind of, like you said, learn from others, ask question, whether it's informally or formal. So I love how you're breaking everything down. If people want to get your book, you can share it. What is the name? Where can they get it or learn more about you or anything we talked about?
Yeah, thank you. So the name of the book is InControl, a systematic approach to taking complete control of your life and career, which is available on Amazon, Book Depository, any online platform, basically almost everywhere. And although the book is still new, it's been out like about a month plus, but we have a very good, what we call that, feedback from our readers and so on. And for myself, I'm available in all the social medias. And my website also, rezaabraham.com.
Perfect. And the last question I like to ask all of my guests is, what is one word or quote or mantra that you try to live by every single day?
I would love to go for InControl.
Yeah. I was like, it's just going to be a given, but I was like, oh, let's see if he switches it up.
Yeah, so I think InControl is something that, it's either one day or day one, you are becoming in control of your destiny. So it's just a matter of the decisions that people need to make. And there are so many words, frankly speaking, that I can push it for, but I think I'm gonna stick with the in control. Just
Perfect.
learn to live an in control life.
I love it. Well, it's so wonderful having you here, and again, you breaking down just a small piece of this. Obviously, there is so much more, but I look forward to hearing more about all of this in the future. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Carrie, for having me. Thank you.